And if today is anything like yesterday, you know, it's going to be a wild newscast, and we'll see what happens, won't we?
Which is lots of fun, and it is Wednesday Hump Day. Make sure you head on our Facebook page because we are streaming live there. But we want to get to our top story. This afternoon, a Guilford County school went into lockdown on the third day back after a shooting happened across the street. The lockdown was to protect students as a precaution. WFOY News 2's Marissa Tanzino was at the scene this morning, and you spoke with parents who were dropping off their students on at this scary moment. What do we know about this shooting?
Well, Lauren, it certainly was a scary scene to roll up to as parents were dropping their kids off for the day. We want to be clear, the shooting did not happen on school grounds. It actually happened in the apartment complex right behind me here. One person was shot. They were hurt and taken to a hospital. They are expected to be okay. Here's a look at some video from the scene earlier today. Police responded to the 600 block of Friendway Road this morning just after 9 o'clock. They say that's where they found one person shot. Again, that person expected to be okay. I did get an update from police just a short time ago. Still no suspect in custody and no arrests have been made in this case. We spoke with one woman who was dropping off a group of kids this morning. She says she's a Lyft driver and had several kids in her car when she heard shots fired as she pulled up to the area the school was in. She said her motherly instinct kicked in and she called the mother of the children and brought them right home.
They were scared. You know, I think that goes without saying. I had them call their mom, of course, and she and I decided it would be safer to bring them home. I was not going to let them out till I knew they would be safe. I am a mom. I have a high schooler. So, of course, I would want to know, goodness forbid, if something happened at her high school.
That witness says police were on scene within a matter of seconds. The school did go into lockdown as a precaution, but that lockdown was lifted around 10 o'clock this morning and then school returned as normal. Again, no arrests have been made in this case, but we'll continue to keep you updated as we learn more.
Marissa, thank you. Forsyth County Sheriff Bobby Kimbrough is asking for help finding a missing woman. He says it's his cousin. Winston-Salem police issued a silver alert for Diamond Kimbrough right here that was last seen last Tuesday at her home on Reynolds Forest Drive. Investigators say she left in a 2014 black Mazda 6 with the license plate BBV 7658.
A Triad football coach is home from the hospital 2 weeks after being diagnosed with COVID. WFOY News 2's Jalen Gilkey spoke with West Forsyth's head football coach Adrian Snow about his recovery.
Well, while the Titans of West Forsyth were fighting for their first win of the year last Friday night versus Reynolds High, head coach Adrian Snow was in the ICU bed at Atrium Health Wake Forest Baptist fighting for his life.
Well, first of all, when you can't breathe, that's a big deal. But, you know, when they emotionally telling you that there's a chance you might not make it, that puts a lot of things in perspective.
West Forsyth head football coach Adrian Snow was diagnosed with COVID-19 just over 2 weeks ago. When asked what the last 15 days have been like, Coach Snow described it as
a whirlwind, to be honest with you. You know, I had some issues health-wise that I wasn't real sure. First of all, I felt like there were kidney stones. I dealt with kidney stones, so I was dealing with that. And then come to find out it wasn't kidney stones, it was COVID.
Coach Snow spent 2 days at Novant Medical in Clemens, then was transferred to the ICU at Atrium Health Wake Forest Baptist. After 3 days in the ICU there, he spent the remaining 10 days in a regular room all alone. But he never felt alone due to the love and support from his West Forsyth family.
Unbelievable. I mean, I can't say enough about our community. What a tight-knit group. And they've been there for my family, been there for me. I mean, thoughts, prayers. I mean, I can't tell you how many people, I mean, my phone has not stopped.
As of now, Coach Snow has no timetable for when he'll return to the Titans sideline, but what he does know is that he's thankful for his wife and family, his West Forsyth family, and all the medical personnel that helped him get back on his feet.
Jalen, thank you. Another local school district will now require masks. Yadkin County schools voted to mandate masks for the next month. Starting tomorrow, they will be required in school buses and in schools unless someone is actively eating or drinking. We've seen another local districts reverse their optional mask policies recently, but two are holding on to those decisions. Randolph and Stokes still have optional mask policies in place. We have learned Randolph has had nearly 300 students quarantined in the past several days. District leaders say it's confirmed 44 positive cases and 12 have impacted a single school. In a statement, the superintendent said overall from Saturday through Tuesday, 277 students and/or staff members have been removed from school for a period of quarantine.
UNCG will now require fans to wear face coverings at outdoor sporting events. The university shared the update on social media. The policy takes effect this Thursday, starting with men's soccer. Another high school football game is postponed because of COVID. Reynolds High School will not host Southwest Guilford High School this week after Reynolds High School reported multiple cases of COVID-19 and quarantined several players. The varsity football game is postponed to Thursday, September 9th. That's at 7 p.m. The JV game is also postponed until September 8th. Southwest Guilford's JV team will play this Thursday against Glenn High School.
The number of North Carolinians in the hospital with the virus took another big jump today. The state says hospitalizations jumped 161 since yesterday. It's right up there with the biggest daily jump we have ever seen. Today's number is now just about 500 fewer than our record high from back in early January. Here's a closer look at our latest numbers. I mentioned on Monday that I was tracking what appeared to be a leveling off in this metric. It appears some hospitals were late in reporting their daily data because the newest information shows that leveling off has now disappeared.
Alrighty then, happy hump day, and we're getting over another hump of extreme heat across the area. Talking about 90s again this Wednesday, even though a much different picture when we look to our radar. Yesterday looking completely dry for this 4 p.m. hour. Now picking up on a very small but very strong showers that are kind of moving through very heavy downpours. You can see some locations kind of seeing them now, but not really moving much, which means some locations might have to keep an eye out for potential flooding. You can see these showers on the western edge of Forsyth County, right moving into Yadkin County. Now, some locations across the Triad are under a marginal risk for severe weather today. That is a level 1. Now, what does that mean? I think the most active potential for severe weather would relate to winds and even that flooding risk that I have been mentioning, as we saw on that radar with some of the very heavy rainfall that is being produced as of now. But the story isn't just about the rainfall, it's also even about the heat. But taking a look really quickly before I jump into some heat numbers, talking about the futurecast, showing you what you can expect over the next several hours. You can see by this evening, we could see some greater pop-up showers and storms in our area. Still not looking like a complete washout, but some more locations could get some rainfall totals, especially as we ride into your Thursday. You see the late evening featuring greater chances of showers across the area, but still very scattered, not a washout. And I'm not even tracking one over the next several days, but the heat still on the 7-day. I'll be showing it in just a bit, as well as a look at the tropics where those 3 systems are still brewing in the Atlantic.
All right, with the school year underway, it's nice to know that students can get some help if they want to try to stay on top of the grades. That's always a good thing. Say Yes Guilford has stepped up to help Guilford County students do just that. And we spoke with Director Wendy Poteet about their tutoring services.
But it's free tutoring. It's an online tutoring platform for our kindergarten through 5th grade students. It's 1 hour per week, any subject that you want to focus on or that you need help in. We use community volunteers. We actually use our service learning students from GCS, and then we have some college students that also volunteer to do the tutoring. So it's a real community endeavor, and we thought we'd do it for 1 semester when the pandemic first hit, and we continue to get requests to continue to do the tutoring.
The program is not just for the little ones. She says there are also free sessions for high schoolers prepping for that next educational step.
Our SAT and our ACT prep classes are actually free to any high school student in the county. It's September 16th at 6 p.m. It's going to be all virtual this year, but it really does give you some test prep pointers that help you maneuver those tests. And while a lot of colleges are not requiring them because of the pandemic, the SAT and the testing actually opens you up for a lot more scholarship opportunities because a lot of scholarships require SAT scores.
And the best news, all of this is free. If you need more information, just look for this story on WFMYnews2.com. We're coming right back with more of the 4 to 5. Stay there.
Yeah, I'm here, bro.
When you go out for a drink or a meal, you're already prepared to tip your server. Maybe you tip based on service, or maybe you always tip a certain percentage. Customers stopping for a drink at a brewery in Indiana are no longer allowed to tip, and the owner explains why.
At this Bloomington brewery,
Switchyard Brewing Company.
Buy a beer from the tap and you don't have to tip. Switchyard Brewing implemented a no tipping policy 2 weeks ago.
Definitely shock. Like, no one's used to that.
Customers see the switch.
This is on every single table.
Right on the menu, right with the reasons why.
I felt like we weren't doing everything possible as a company to take care of our coworkers and our staff.
Owner Curtis Cummings says he saw the struggles for the service industry, especially a tipping disparity he found.
It's about a 25% pay difference.
Depending on a server's age, gender, or race. So now workers here make a living wage, $18 an hour instead of $2.13. And they don't have to work weekends to get the most cash.
I have 2 kids and a family, so being able to do stuff on Friday, Saturday nights and not having to always block that off for my work days has been super helpful.
Plus, paychecks are no longer at the mercy of customers, and servers don't have to tolerate customer harassment to earn a tip.
Tips do not provide better service. Tips do not correct poor service. Tips very simply say everything about the person tipping and nothing about the employee.
With no tipping, Switchyard customers are charged more now. The cost of pizza and pints went up by 20%, basically $1 per beer. But owners say the feedback for this first in Monroe County has been positive and expect more restaurants to follow suit.
We have had no staff leave since implementing it, and we have had only 100% positive comments from our community and our customers.
I think it's the future, going no tipping, and I think we're just the first people to do it.
Yeah, I think this is great, especially with them getting that $18, that living wage, because a lot of times, as we know, people who work in the service industry, they make about, what is it, $7.25?
Less, even less sometimes. I used to be a waitress, and that sounds truly amazing because there were times where my check itself would be only $30.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so the tipping thing, if people don't tip, it would be like, well, hey, I'm not gonna get anything. But then there are some people who are really, really nice who give you these great tips. So it really just depends.
And I think people too that, or at least for me, and you develop a relationship. If you go back to the restaurant, you like that particular server, and so people were thinking. A lot of us maybe listening to that, going, "Well, you like to tip the person that you like, that you like the service from." But if they're all making the same, then you're still just going to go back to that person's table every time.
I do think it's a good idea, but I also disagree with the guy in that story who said that that servers are not working for that tip, because I don't agree with that. I used to be in the service industry, and I worked harder because I knew that my tip depended on it. So it's not the same for everybody, obviously, but I think a lot of people do work to get a better tip.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Chad. I've had plenty of experiences with a lot of great servers and left a lot of pretty decent tips. And I've been in some situations with some not great servers, and my tip and the tip reflect, the service that I received. So I don't know if that was 100%, accurate, but I do love to see folks making a living wage and not having to worry or depend on others to feed their families.
I know that my wage was $2.13 an hour.
Wow. Yeah, it was bad.
And
that
sometimes
is low.
my paycheck would be zero for the 2 weeks because I made too much in cash tips or credit card tips, and so they'd have to take the taxes out.
Yep.
So I know what it's like to get a paycheck that says void.
That just sounds like a headache.
Yikes. That's when you start weeping silently in the corner.
Yes, exactly.
We're coming right back. Stay right there.
Alrighty then, so like I said earlier during this 4 p.m. hour, this heat story continues. And not just for us here in the Triad, but for much of central U.S., really dealing with some heat advisories, as you'll see on this map here. kind of showing you these heat advisories extending through much of the central part of the U.S., all due to this high pressure system, the same one that's been extending itself a little bit further towards the east and allowing for greater heat conditions here. You can see the numbers, the current temperatures across this map, screaming hot. 101, as you can see, 97, 96. These are all the current temperature reads. I mean, if you literally were to stick a thermometer outside and collect data to figure out what the temperature is, this is what we're seeing. Very hot conditions. And as we go for over the next 6 to 10 days, expecting more above average temperatures. That average temperature for the Triad this time of year, 87, and we're going to be seeing numbers well above that. So there's two high pressure systems in place. The Bermuda high that's really nudging a little bit eastward, really helping to push in that tropical air. We're talking greater heat as well as moisture. And then we're not until we get until next week where there features a new cold front that kind of pushes through and could increase the chance of rain. So that's why you see next week we do have some greater rain chances on there. But overall, none of the days looking like a washout.
All right, here's a question of the day. What's something you thought as a child but wasn't actually true? I thought all dogs were male and all cats were female. Clearly, that's not true. I posted this question on my Facebook page and got some pretty great responses. Jennifer says she thought that blood was blue until it came out of your body and the oxygen turned it red. Joni said, I always thought as a small child that the singers on the radio were actually down at our local radio station. Doris wrote, I thought if you took off the tags from the mattress and the pillows in your house, you would be arrested. Aww. I thought that one too. Benny said, I always thought if I sat too close to the TV, I would go blind. Everybody's mother told them that, right? Jamie wrote, my grandma always told me if we went barefoot, we would catch worms and our feet would grow big. And Julia said, I used to tell my son that chocolate milk came from brown cows. He believed me. And Bethany thought you could catch colds by going outside with wet hair or barefooted. I think a lot of people still think that, and I think a lot of parents still say that. What about you guys?
So my grandparents, they grow a lot of fruits and vegetables, and they grow watermelons. And I remember swallowing a watermelon seed. I know where this is going. My granddaddy was like, ooh, you're going to get a watermelon in your belly. And I remember looking in the mirror like, oh no, I don't want this to happen to me. But I've thought that for the longest time.
That's great.
I know there was one for me is that it's that rhyme that kids say, step on a crack, break your mother's back. And I never believed it, but there was a part of me that was afraid to do it anyway. You know what I mean? You don't really believe it, but you're like, I got to avoid that.
All right, well, I have two. The first one was when I was younger, like you'd be in the car, I used to think like the moon and the sun was following us. I was like, how is it everywhere that we're going? And then second, I used to think that when I grew up and been in adult life was gonna be fun. This is, you know,
it's not fun.
It's not fun. You gotta pay a whole bunch of bills, you got car insurance, it's a whole bunch of mess.
Yeah, I don't really have one, guys. I'm sorry, I left blank. I can't think. I mean, all of the ones that you guys thought this apples and watermelons, and my mic isn't working, so you guys can't probably hear me too well, so I'll just stop.
They're working to fix that right now. You've been hearing the popping outside, so we're working on that. A couple other ones that I really liked from there. Somebody said that they thought broccoli were baby trees.
Aww, that's
and
cute.
They also thought that lightning bugs actually had fire in them, and that's what made them lightning bugs or fireflies.
Were there ever any terms that you all got wrong? Like my great-grandmother, I called her grape, like the fruit, great-grandmother for the longest time. I don't remember when I made the switch, but I remember thinking that was the term.
I was the same way. I couldn't say great-grandmother, and so I called her Grandma Grape. So opposite.
Oh, that's cute.
So she was always known as
That's
Grandma
how
Grape.
nicknames start. I love it.
All right, well, let us know on Facebook if there was anything that you thought as a child that was absolutely false. We'll be right back.
Life never seems to stop. We're always going, and sometimes we get so distracted we lose sight of what matters. In today's U-Day moment, Coach Lamont reminds us to focus on what's important instead of getting sidetracked.
There's a little boy who lived in a small Mexican town that bordered California. One day he rode his bike into America. Stopped by a border officer, he was asked his reason for coming to the States. The little boy simply pointed to his backpack and said, "Sir, I'm carrying mulch." "Mulch?" the officer replied. The officer then took it upon himself to check the contents of the bag, and indeed, it was mulch. For several weeks this went on, riding his bike, carrying mulch, stopped by the same officer, same process. One day the little boy didn't show up. Time passed, and months later the officer was out with his family and saw the little boy in town. He then asked him, "I was always curious, what were you doing with all that mulch?" The little boy replied, "The mulch was just a distraction. I was actually smuggling bikes." The moral of the story here is stop focusing on things that are clearly a distraction and put your concentration and efforts into things that are more important. This is Coach Lamont reminding you to have your best U-Day. I'll see you tomorrow.
All right, I'm talking. Oh, I got an echo in my ear. I'm talking about college students. Okay, it's still there. How do parents, it's gone. How do parents deal with the fact that their kids are off to college? It's tough. Did you hear me? No, there's no more echo. Great, thank you.
Mic check 1 2 3. Mic check 1 2 3. Mic check. Mic check. Can you hear me? Mic check 1 2 3. Mic check 1 2 3.
Well, welcome to your 4 to 5. I'm Lauren Coleman here with Eric Chilton and Chad Silver.
Yeah, we're ready to have a good time today. We got some news for you, some weather coming up in a little bit, and we'll let you know how long this heat will stick around.
Yeah, we'll check in with Monique a little later, but let's get into your 4 to 5 roundup. Western Guilford High School went into lockdown this morning because of a shooting that happened across the street. The shooting did not happen on the campus, but it did happen as some parents were dropping off their kids. Greensboro police were called to Friendway Road. That's where they found one person injured. The person was taken to the hospital and is expected to be okay. Suspect information hasn't been released and police have not made an arrest. The lockdown was lifted around 10 and students resumed class as normal. Johnson & Johnson says a booster shot of its vaccine increases a person's antibodies. The company is researching the possibility of booster shots as the FDA reviews the possibility of boosters for everyone. Right now, boosters are only approved for people with weakened immune systems. Johnson & Johnson says antibody responses increased for trial participants between the ages of 18 and 55. The company said it is discussing booster shots with U.S. and European health officials. Delta Airlines will charge employees on the company health plan if they do not get the COVID vaccine. Employees will need to pay $200 each month they go unvaccinated. The airline's top executive says this is a necessary policy because the average hospital stay costs the airline $40,000. The CEO says employees who have been hospitalized for the virus in recent weeks were not fully vaccinated. The airline is also ending pay protection to unvaccinated workers who get the virus starting September 30th and will require those employees to go through weekly testing starting on September 12th. The company will cover the cost of testing, and employees will wear masks in all indoor company settings. More than 82,000 people have been evacuated from Kabul this month, according to the White House. The administration has ramped up the pace of evacuations of U.S. citizens and at-risk Afghans from Kabul. Approximately 19,000 people were airlifted from the main airport in the last 24 hours. President Biden said completing evacuations by the August 31st deadline depends on cooperation from the Taliban. The Taliban stated it will not allow an extension of the deadline for evacuations.
Alrighty then, so I'm back and I hope you guys can hear me well because I'm talking all things tropics. Now, we've been in hurricane season. We've seen even some hurricanes already this year. We've already seen some tropical storms, and looking now at the Atlantic Basin, it looks as though there's some promising signs we could be seeing the next named storm soon. We do have 3 systems currently on watch, none of which have been named yet, but again, still something of concern. You can see 40% chance with the one that's in Central Atlantic, and then we have a 50% chance of development within the next 48 hours with one not too far from Colombia. This is tagged Invest 99L, a tropical wave as of now. You can see this cluster of thunderstorms. Again, we're not seeing the well-defined circular shape. It's not yet even a tropical depression, but showing promising signs that could be one very soon. The latest update as of the 2 p.m. advisory with winds at 22, moving towards the west at 22 miles per hour. So again, keeping a close eye on this system because model tracks are in fact showing this system veering to the west-northwest and heading into the Gulf as we go into the latter part of the weekend. And in the start of next week, Gulf states, Texas and Louisiana specifically, need to keep an eye out to where exactly this system is expected to go.
All right, you have been sharing your photos with us on Facebook celebrating back to school season. We do appreciate that. We also asked you on Facebook, what's your favorite school memory? April says, the Halloween masquerade my senior year. Another viewer texted us saying, getting up early enough to put on my sister's clothes that she had prepared the night before, then getting out of the house before she noticed. That's a great one. Someone wrote, in elementary school, it was walking to school with my neighbors. In junior high, I definitely remember changing into those blue suits for gym. Frank simply said, graduating. Chris wrote, the last day of school. Trissa said the entire 5th grade got the last 30 to 45 minutes every Friday to go outside together. They even let us buy soda and candy on those days as well. I can relate to some of those things. I really loved the first day of school, picking out my new outfit, but I also loved the last day of school. And knowing that I won't be going back for months.
That's a given. Last day is on everybody's list. For me, when I was a high school senior, they had a committee of teachers that was called Seniors or Special Teachers, and they coordinated once a month. We got something for the high school seniors that was a surprise. Like they would call us into the auditorium and say all seniors reported. We went in there 3rd period and they had, like, we got to watch a movie or something. They did something every single month. That was really cool.
High school, one of my favorite memories was the Spirit Week for homecoming week.
Yeah.
We would have Wacky Tacky Day, Pajama Day, Celebrity Day. Like, that was always a lot of fun.
Well, I got a couple moments. I do remember 5th grade was the first time we played fantasy fraction football. And that was a great time. That was one of the only times I really, truly enjoyed going to math class. And then 7th grade, we had like the middle school Olympics, and like so we'd all kind of be placed on different teams, and it was like a field day event. It was like the last week of school. It was a great time.
Jalen's are all sports.
All of them.
My favorite was my senior year. I actually hosted my own TV show.
Okay.
Yes, we were the Warriors, so it was Warriors Announcement Network Television and Studio 130. Catch me every morning at 7:14 a.m.
This is awesome.
And look at you now.
Wow.
Hey,
Yeah.
We need a clip of that, Monique.
Yeah, it's all on YouTube. Search me up.
Oh, that's what I'm doing. in the commercial
Flashback
break.
Fridays coming up quickly.
Perfect, Chad.
Very fun, very fun. All right, so the first day of school, you know, that is a big deal, no matter what grade your child is in. But once they hit college, it's a different feeling for parents. Of course, it's an adjustment for your child, but it's also an adjustment for mom and dad as well. I can tell you that firsthand. Blanca Cobb joins us today to talk about the adjustment that parents go through. And you know, Blanca, what makes it difficult for some parents when their kids go away to college? I mean, everybody has a different degree with this, and I just went through this like a week ago.
Yeah, what makes it really difficult is because it signals the next phase of your kid's life. When kids move off to college, that means they're starting their own life. They might come back to visit, but not really to live anymore. Think about summer internships or summer jobs that might take them away from home. And so again, it just really signals a new phase of your kid's life. And as a mom and dad, you're like, oh, yeah, long gone are those days when your kids are just going to be home.
So Blanca, what struggles may parents face when they're trying to adjust to their students moving off to college?
A lot of times what some parents will do is that they will constantly check in with their kid, with their college student. Hey, just want to see how things are going. Hey, did you get whatever I sent you? Remember, I'm mom, I'm dad. Or sometimes you tell them how you feel, like I really miss you, or I can't wait to see you. That's all well and good, but you have to look at it from their perspective. They're adjusting their own selves, right? They're adjusting to campus life or apartment living with friends, their own schedules. And if mom or dad says a lot of this emotional, I really miss you, I can't wait to see you, why don't you call me? What happened to Sunday night phone calls or whatever? It can put some guilt or make the college student feel uncomfortable. And then that could really cause more of a wedge. I
have literally had to fight to not send a text every day. It's true. In fact, I had that discussion with my wife last night, and she's like, I think what Blanca said is right. If you just send something that's matter of fact, how'd your day go, or something not all emotional. But what are the ways that parents can cope, Blanca? I need help.
Yes, well, you and I both, Eric,
Yes.
because my daughter's in college too, living away from home. And it's really distracting yourself with other things that are going on in your life, whether it's a new hobby or you just hang out with friends more, you focus on the other children that are at home. And reach out. I'm not telling you not to reach out to your kids, but when you reach out, you really want to say, hey, how's it going? How's college life? How's a new roommate? How's the class, the schedule? Focus really on them because you want to be a sounding board for them. And then also you want to make the calls short and sweet, unless they want to talk longer. Because what can happen is they might want to talk maybe 5 or 10 minutes versus an hour, but then they might want to talk more frequently. Or they might send you more snaps or more text messages in order to communicate. So really follow their lead, particularly in these beginning months, and they'll come back. At least that's what I believe, Eric. And they're going to come back because they're going to miss us.
I keep listening to Blanca going, I wonder, because it's hard when it's easy to give advice. It's hard to follow it. So I know even for you, it's probably difficult.
It is. It can be very tough.
It's true.
But we did the best we could. We gave them all that we possibly could. We just have to trust that they're on their way.
Oh, so
That's what
cute.
you have to do. I've been telling Lauren about this for the last week solid. Thanks, Blanca, for your information there. And parents, by the way, if you're looking for this interview, we're going to put this on our website so you can find it and share it with other parents as well. It has been a super adjustment for me.
How often have you picked up the phone to call?
So I've called twice since he was there, which is, I can't remember now the dates are all running. It was last week.
Twice?
I've called twice, but I have texted at least once every day probably.
Okay.
And it's usually just how's your day going and everything. But I had this discussion with my wife and I said, I didn't think I would be so, I thought I'd handle it better than I am. But I feel like I have to reach out every day just to see, you know.
Continue to reach out. I remember for me going to college, it was an adjustment. Like the first semester, I was going home almost every other weekend because it was such a change. And then by the second semester, I didn't want to go home. Like if I went home for break after 2 days, I was ready to head back. And my parents would be like, is everything good? We haven't heard from you in a few days. This isn't normal. But, you know, just check in whenever you can. And that's the best thing that you can do for them.
Well, and my problem is that, so when I went to college, I was a 2-hour drive away from home. I could zip home whenever I wanted to. He's 7.
Oh.
And so I can't just, you know,
if something happens in the middle of the night, you can't just hit the road.
So I told him, I just said, you call me when you need me. He did give me some advice when I first dropped him off. He goes, don't call me because I got to get through this. Let me call you first. So I let him make the first phone call. Difficult.
He's an adult now. Big boy now.
So difficult. I'm going to go over here and cry. We'll be right back. Stay there. A lot. You know, if you've seen any of the Winston-Salem Open this week, you know that this event is really pulling the fans in, that's for sure. In fact, organizers say they are drawing in record crowds this year. I spoke with tournament director Jeff Ryan about how they're faring.
With the fact that we're seeing a resurgence of the Delta variant, it's nice to report from here that people are coming out. I think a lot of our fans are practicing safely and wearing their masks. But I also see a lot of people who are probably vaccinated and around here and enjoying some tennis. So it's wonderful to see everybody back in our community outside, getting together and feeling like we're going to get past all this.
Ryan says the event also for families as much as it is for the tennis fans out there. He says that kids zone is really popular.
They've got some neat little murals there that are being painted up as things for kids who enjoy the arts to do and engage with. There's some basketball there, there's some ping pong there, so it's real fun. And of course the site, what a great way to introduce kids to tennis, show them these players that hit the ball and are such tremendous athletes right up close and impersonal for them. So it's a great opportunity for families to come out and get into the sport of tennis, which is a great, healthy outdoor lifestyle.
So I asked you on Facebook to tell me your favorite sport that you like to watch in person. Here's what everybody had to say. Jeff Griffin said college football for sure, constant action, alumni and friends, tailgating. That's the wrong graphic that we have up there. And he says the bands too make that experience great. Cindy says minor league baseball, especially the Greensboro Grasshoppers. Love all of it, the crowd, the team, the spirit, and the food. Martha says NASCAR, nothing like hearing the roar of all that horsepower and the thrill of the chase. And Ronnie says football games, just seeing family and friends and having a great time at the game itself. Bobby Odom says NFL football, love the energy and atmosphere at the live games. And Sherry says the rodeo, true American she has there. There is something, I think, about all sports, watching it in person as opposed to on TV, that just makes it so much better.
Yeah, for me, it's college football. I love the NFL, love to watch the NFL, but I just feel like fans are more passionate at college football games, and I just love the atmosphere that goes along with it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Chad. Me personally, being an Aggie, I think there's nothing better than going to Aggie Stadium or Truist Stadium and taking in a game and watching the boys beat up on whoever we're beating up on. I had a great time there watching Tariq Cohen run up and down the sidelines. I mean, there was nothing better. I don't think there was a better show in college football. But I do believe my second favorite option would be to go to a professional baseball game. It's just something that's kind of in my family. It's a tradition. And being from St. Louis, big Cardinals fans, it's a real big deal in our city. Opening day and every day is when there's Cardinals baseball is just a great day.
That's huge. Well, me obviously going to Carolina, I'd have to say college basketball and then college football. Those are my two favorites. But because the NFL is on a whole different level. You know, you go to college games, they're big. I mean, you go to, Ohio State or Penn State or Michigan or one of those, that's like an NFL game too. But I like the NFL games as well. Baseball I did not get as much into as a kid, and now I'm trying to start to watch it more as an adult.
I'm telling you, it's America's pastime for a reason, man. It's a great time,
great
food, great game, great atmosphere. Can't beat it.
My dad was a Cardinals fan.
Really?
He was a huge, but he goes all the way back to Dizzy Dean.
Well, your dad's a good man.
That's right. That's right. That's right. All right.
I love that one of the people said the rodeo. I've never been to a rodeo, but that would be kind of cool.
Sounds like a great time, right?
They tried to get me to do it once. I was like, mm-mm.
That sounds more like Chad speed, I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, right.
You want to ride the bull, Chad?
The bosses would not go for that.
Not now. Not nowadays. All right, we'll take a short break. We're coming back. Stay there.
We are hitting the road for our back to school tour. Today, Christian Morgan spoke with a science teacher from Northwest Middle in Winston-Salem for Forsyth County Schools.
Of course, continuing our back to school tour, if you will, Christian Morgan coming to you from Northwest Middle School in Winston-Salem today. And of course, you know, I had to find a science teacher, right? So I want to bring in Mr. Salters. Mr. Salters, thanks for joining us this morning. And tell me what it means to have kids finally back in school again. It's been so long, and we've been anticipating this moment for a long time.
Well, thanks for having me on. I'll tell you, it's wonderful to have the kids back. It's good to see their faces. It's good to see their replies to questions and answers. It's good to see the smiles and the nods, and also the frowns and the shrugged shoulders. We couldn't really see that clear on Zoom or on any kind of virtual schooling.
So a couple days in, tell me what the general response has been from most students. Are they excited? Are they ready to be back? Or some a little hesitant to be back in the classroom?
Well, the students seem a little bit more timid than usual. I teach 8th grade, and they're just a little bit more timid, but that probably comes from having no 7th grade year with their classmates, and so that probably won't last for long.
Of course, and you know I'm going to have to ask you about weather. What's first off the charts in the textbook this year? What's the first thing you're covering?
In 8th grade, we're covering chemistry, and not a lot of weather in the 8th grade content, but the 6th grade will learn about weather this year.
I don't know how I made it through 8th grade. I was terrible at chemistry, but I did okay at weather, clearly. Well, thanks for joining us, and we wish you a happy and wonderful school year ahead.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, they may not be covering weather, but I am here in the weather garden. Now, guys, it's hot outside. I've been sweating throughout this entire 4 p.m. hour, if I'm being honest. And I bet you if you've been outside for any extended period of time, you might have done the same. These feels like temperatures are just even ugly to look at. 90s, upper 90s, 97 is what it feels like in Greensboro. That's just very uncomfortable. Those dew points making for the sticky feel, not just the temperature being hot itself, but also factoring in the dew points making for the very uncomfortable humid feels, and you just got to stay hydrated, and that's going to be the story over the next several days. We won't get much relief when we're talking about rain-cooled air because only a few locations are getting to see some even heavy showers even now, but you can see they're very small, not widespread, not even developing into some storms here. We're not seeing lightning strikes popping up on our radar. We're really just seeing these showers sort of develop and then wash out pretty quickly. Over the next several hours, though, our futurecast does feature some chances for other areas around the Triad to see some showers or possibly even some storms. But you can see also the cloud cover extending even further towards our western counties. Overnight tonight, Cameron out the possibility for another shower or storm to push through. Starting out our Thursday, though, fairly dry. So here's another look at that 7-day. I really haven't given you a good opportunity to soak it all in, so I'll give it a good show for you here. Now, the 90s are screaming across this entire forecast. Not much of a relief, and even on Friday and Saturday, forecasting those to be completely dry days. Not even on Sunday, very, very low chance, but more than likely expected to be another dry day then as well. Next week, not really trending downward. We're still fairly warm. Tune in for more weather and news updates for your news at 5.
One, two, three, four, five. Uno, dos. Okay.
Hello, mic check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
With all the microphone stuff. Oklahoma, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island.
Make sure you look to the western sky.
Mic check 1, 2, 3. She did, and she kind of looks like one.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Thanks.
Hey, mic check 1, 2, 1, 2. Mic check 1, 2, 1, 2.
More people are hopping on airplanes again, but the Delta variant could
It's time for my 2 cents. Social media has so many benefits. It keeps us connected with friends and family. It's a great way to promote your brand, especially if you own your own business. The list goes on and on. But with every positive, there's often a negative. One thing I've noticed are dangerous social media challenges going viral every other day. There was once the Tide Pod Challenge, the Cinnamon Challenge, and now folks are participating in the Milk Crate Challenge. People are actually taking the time to record themselves attempting to walk up and down a staircase made of milk cartons. This challenge has resulted in broken bones and fractures. And for what? To get some extra likes on Instagram? I mean, who created this challenge anyway? I took to my Facebook page to ask this same question. Many folks agree, it's just not worth it. How about using your social media platforms in a way that will help make the world a better place? Try organizing a local service project or collecting items for your local food bank. We all like a good laugh from time to time, but not if people are getting hurt. That's my 2 cents. That's your 4 to 5. WFNY News 2 at 5 starts now.
Numbers released from Randolph County schools. Almost 300 students and staff are in quarantine during the first week of school.
Plus, as the Delta variant becomes more and more common, so does the new need for COVID tests. Are we close to running out of test kits?
But first, a Guilford County school is put on lockdown